Hi, so I made a few videos about frequency and vibration, and I just wanted to relate it to uh, atoms, and also, what that means as far as sacred geometry is concerned. So, imagine this is an atom, and it's resonating its electrons. Electrons occur in shelves within the atom, and because within each ring there consists a certain number of electrons, and these electrons that are spinning around certain sphere or certain diameters, and they're all spinning around the center of an atom, just like this. So if you imagine that the first shelf, it only has 2 electrons, which means that the magnetic field looks like a north and a south. Well, that's what this is a picture of. You imagine a north and a south, and they're overlapping, but where they overlap, they create additional north-south fields, and then they start mirroring. Well, you go from 1 or 0 essentially, because before it splits into a north-south field, you're not aware of it. It just is perfect stillness. Well, light is only visible because it's moving. So if it's existing in a void, we don't notice it, but as soon as it diverges into 2 things, a north and a south, we become aware of it. And as soon as it splits into a north and a south, it begins dividing again, fractally, exponentially. So 0 becomes 1, 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, and then when you get these 8 in the center here, you get an overlapping pattern that is a stable geometry. And so the next shelf out gives you a total of 18. So as you were to make this larger and larger, you could actually predict the shelves and how many electrons are going to be on each shelf. And also, if you were to overlay this on top of a table of elements, you would notice that the elements spiral quite nicely, and that as the elements in different parts of the table, they actually align with specific kind of energies. And I've posted that on my Facebook. If you haven't seen it, you can check it out. And that's the idea, is that the universe is not as complicated as it's essentially understood to be. That there's a bunch of math, there's a bunch of unknown variables, and there are, but the basics are very simple. Vibration causes 2 types of motion: centripetal force, and centripetal force creates linear force. Those are the only 2 things that are happening. So the idea is, how do you get the best spin? How do you get the most bang for your buck? It's a match of intensity and frequency, because the higher the frequency, the more easily it passes through something, but also the more quickly it fades. So the intensity has to be very high, which is the idea of, an alpha omega particle, is that a black hole, a quasar, is spinning so fast that from any position it appears to be standing still. But it's pulsing so quickly that it actually is resonating at the atomic spin. So it's the darkest, most round thing in the universe, and that in and of itself, that void, creates the brightest light that happens to be in the straightest line in the universe. And so these quasars resonate space-time, and they send all of the atoms into motion. But the thing to keep in mind is, you have to balance intensity and frequency. Frequency, the higher the frequency, the greater the state of harmony and love, compassion, kindness, generosity. Because those energies are extremely high frequency. And the higher the intensity, the greater the passion, charisma, and determination. And those are really the 2 key aspects of human nature. And I think that as more people become more aware of their pulse, their harmony, their own personal wheel, their water wheel of energy inside their body, and understand how powerfully water affects the environment, and more people start behaving like living bodies of water that promote life, that promote compassion, that promote kindness, that promote generosity, like water does. Water doesn't hold anything back. It's in continuous cycling flow. It never stops for anything, not for very long. Breaks rock, moves stone. There's really nothing that water can't do, can't get into, can't dissolve. And that's really what makes human nature so great, because we are just like water. And when you learn to flow like water, when you learn how energy flows within water, and you start being the master of your pulse, the master of your heartbeat, and the energy that it produces, every beat, all of a sudden, things start shifting. Things start shifting. And it's a matter of intensity and alignment. Because eventually, everybody always stops. But if you're in alignment, at least you get a long ride down. Because that's, if you're dreaming, that's all you want, is you want a good dream. You don't want to dream forever. You want to have a good dream. You want to have a dream that makes you think, wow, that was amazing. That's the way your life should be. Not some American dream where you've been sold out into a collective that doesn't even believe in itself as a community. So I invite you to join me and start loving yourself.